Welcome to the Allied Electronics and Automation Expert Advice Podcast. In each episode, we interview a trusted expert in the electronics industry to provide purchasers, engineers, installers, and maintainers with valuable insights into the product and technology solutions that can help them overcome common challenges and add real value to their workflows. We hope you enjoy this episode and that you learn something useful and new. Today I'm talking to John Partin III, National Sales Business Development Manager, Assembly, Food and Beverage and Packaging Machinery at Schneider Electric. Welcome, John. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Christine. Thank you for having me.
Please introduce our listeners to Schneider Electric and tell us a little about your role as the company's National Sales Business Development Manager for Assembly, Food and Beverage and Packaging Machinery.
I'm happy to do so. Schneider Electric has made a ton of acquisitions over the last 40 years with Square D and Modicon in the early 90s, and our motion competency comes from our Burglar and ELAU acquisitions in the early 2000s. I work for the ELAU side of things, which came from our high-end multi-axis coordinated control and our robotics offer. So with Schneider Electric, we have everything from the push-button stack lights all the way up to Delta Robotics that I get to introduce to customers to utilize in their machinery.
Very cool. That's a widespread you can never get bored with, huh?
Exactly.
So automation technologies, including robots, are experiencing increased adoption across myriad market segments, including the food and beverage and pharmaceutical manufacturing and packaging industries. Are there any specific market trends driving this demand, or is it just the natural evolution of the industry?
Well, there are a number of trends going in the marketplace right now. And even before COVID, and COVID sort of highlighted the not hastiness, maybe, or more expeditious way of people thinking about it. During COVID, we had a lot of plant shutdowns, especially in the food section, to separate employees, to keep them at safer distances, to do some more mundane, repetitive tasks. And when you get into food and robots, you need more hygienic and sanitary solutions. And all of our Delta robots are stainless steel that enable us to participate in those markets very well. For packaging, the trends are usually spearheaded by the pharma division. Pharma segment has always had track and trace. They've gone into more single dosing with blister packs, and even some nutraceuticals will have you mail in different bodily functions to determine what you're deficient in, and they'll provide a whole kit of what nutraceuticals you should be having that are packaged all together. Anything from the materials that are being involved, the recyclable materials, those require more flexible automation to handle because they're a little more delicate than the raw materials are from the virgin paper, virgin plastic, those kind of things. When you recycle them, they become a little more brittle to handle. And, marketing trumpets everything. So they want the fancy graphics, and when you put graphics on certain things, sometimes that requires more flexible automation, which Schneider Electric has a very good solution for.
Very cool. I haven't thought about that in the recycling before, but that definitely makes sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and even recycling is getting all automated too, and that's a whole nother topic we can talk about.
Hey, noted for next time.
That's right.
What kinds of food and beverage and packaging technologies are being automated? Can you share some examples with us?
Well, I really don't get involved in the batch side of the food side, the mixing and all those kind of things. And the latter part of the food where you're doing portioning, cutting, taking that side of the food is where I get involved because it is getting more automated. Once you get into the packaging side, then it's taking like the raw material. You have primary, secondary, and tertiary packaging. And primary packaging is always touching the raw material, be it the food or the cosmetic or the toothpaste in the tube, shampoo, conditioner, everything from personal care, beverage to chemicals and those kind of things. So anytime you're taking a raw product and putting it into a package, that's primary. Once you have the initial packaging, then you put the packaging into another box to get shipped. That's usually secondary. Case packing is typical.
Right.
And then palletizing and wrapping the pallet and so forth is in the tertiary side. We have great solutions for all three. Um, Stainless steel products work great in primary packaging in the last part of food and bev, and standard products in the case packing. Case packing can use our robotics, but our controls are flexible enough to allow our OEMs to use their own mechanics. And I have customers from, 2007, 2008 that still make their own carbon fiber arms using our pack drive controls to drive them.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
uh that's really flexible.
Oh,
And like so are you helping them with those designs? Like is this a collaborative effort?
we give them some guidance, but that particular customer is on like Rev 9 or 10, changing the density of the carbon fiber to the adhesives of the elbows that you put on the end of the carbon fiber to join them together. So they've learned a lot in the process. So but they've got a good design, and a lot of those guys even use 3D printing to do prototyping on that kind of stuff. That's pretty neat too.
Wow, that's really cool. So, what
Yeah.
are some key characteristics of effective automated food and beverage manufacturing and packaging equipment? Like, what types of things should potential customers be sure to evaluate their options for when they're, in the specification and purchasing phases?
That's a good question, and it depends on the end user on what their specifications are. And I'm getting involved on the OEM side and end user side to offer training to support machines with pack drive or Schneider controls. But on the the real questions I have for OEMs are, where are you starting today and where do you want to be tomorrow?
Hmm.
Meaning they might build a machine today, but they might want to build, Series B machine tomorrow. And having a flexible control system enables them to do that. And right now we have our one software that covers all of our PLCs through pack drive. So it's one environment. So if they're starting simple with a PLC and a VFD, we can do those machines, and the same software could take them all the way up to our robotics offer.
Oh, wow.
And our system can do the robots as well as all the other axes on the machine, the in feed and out feed, and keep all that control and software for all that in one controller. So it'd be the one programming software environment, one error handling side of that environment is all in one file. So it enables OEMs to be able to be more efficient, more sustainable with their machine design from a software perspective. For the end user, we have free software tools to be able to support those machines in the field. So we have something called Pack Drive Diagnostics. They might just call it diagnostics now, but it gives them the last 500 error codes and warnings and everything on the Circos loop. And Circos 3 is our logic and motion bus for Pack Drive products. And gives them all the hardware numbers, serial numbers, firmware revisions, all from one location. And it's a free software. So they can go and support the machines very effectively and intuitively without much training on that software.
Yeah, it sounds like all of your solutions are really focused on supporting customer scalability, also, like flexibility, scalability.
That's really what it's all about. Having a flexible control architecture that can get you point A and B and not recreating the wheel all the time.
And that's saving people both time and money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. In addition to the hardware and the one programming environment, we do have advisors that enable the OEM to provide solutions, or even the end user can implement. These are PLC agnostic products. So EcoStruxure Augmented Operator Advisor, AOA for short, which I prefer. Our augmented environment that allows you to have points of interest, and the data points that reside inside the point of interest can be a video on how to set up something or change something. It could be a CAD drawing, electrical schematic, a user manual, a live variable to show them what is actually going on in the machine to possibly get them to change something or splice something, or you never know what. And then machine advisor, something typically for an OEM to monitor machines in the field to possibly increase aftermarket business, determine how many cycles the machine has had and what they need to do to possibly suggest spare parts or change something, preventive maintenance for the end user to keep their machines up and running to increase their OEE. So scalability is key, and serviceability is optimal.
Well, so you mentioned predictive maintenance. So is there a condition monitoring element to any of these Schneider Electric products?
Well, in our visor products, you can monitor and track. You can actually have a subscription to monitor however many variables you want to. And with that, we can do some artificial intelligence to determine when to do preventative maintenance on your machine. If it's a Schneider control system, we can help with some of that. A lot of that is based on your mechanics on things. If it's somebody else's, then you'd probably need an integrator or somebody that we can put you in touch with to implement the Machine Advisor products.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, we're helping people get more digitized in their factories, on the machines, and the OEMs are like, well, we don't want to add more cost to our machine. Well, the OEMs that I have successful selling are augmented operator, and it's really geared to help customers find out what the problem is and then fix it faster. They're selling as part of their service contracts. So they'll sell a big machine with the service contract and give them a tablet and the tools to be able to use the augmented operator right away.
Very neat. So you've mentioned some of the unique products that Schneider Electric has developed to serve the food and beverage packaging, manufacturing and packaging industry. So what are some of the features? I mean, and I guess you've touched on this already too. Some of the features that make them stand out from the competition. When you and I have spoken before this, you sort of mentioned like a brief history of Schneider Electric innovative contributions to this market. You talked about, like you mentioned, the pack drive, the Series 3-axis Delta robots. You had the T Series 2-axis also. And then you mentioned your EcoStruxure platform. So can you touch on some of these and what aspects they're really offering that are unique to the industry and aren't necessarily being served by your competitors?
Our EcoStruxure environment is really Schneider's version of the industrial Internet of Things. If you can imagine, when people talk about IoT, well, what is it? Schneider describes it as our EcoStruxure environment, where we have connected products on the base ledge, and we have edge products where all the data from the connected products go to, and then we have apps and analytics. Our connected products can be a push button, a stack light, an HMI, a VFD, even our robots. We have servo motors on our robots that we know what the temperature, what the position is, what the torque is to gather information that goes up to the edge products that collects all that data. Now, some of our apps and analytics can actually be done on the edge or in the cloud. Edge products can be some PLCs, the pack drive controllers, dedicated edge boxes, IPCs. And then, we have our own cloud with some of the apps and analytics to do calculations for preventive maintenance. That's our EcoStruxure environment. The innovation, Schneider ELAU, we developed the first integrated servo motor, which put the drive or control portion of the drive on the motor itself to help reduce the amount of space needed for the electrical cabinet. So we're giving people options to make smaller footprint machines. So that is very neat. And when it's used, I think the biggest machine I know of with one controller is in San Francisco at a chocolate company, like 92 axes with one controller. That chocolate company, it's a big one there. Everybody probably knows it. But it has one controller and it has all these integrated stuff. So it has less wiring time, all these motors. And if you can imagine one goes bad, using that diagnostic software I mentioned will help them determine which one's bad, the serial number, part number, all that good stuff on it.
Wow.
We built the first integrated motor back in close to 2000. It was a little triangular thing to go in a turret. So we do high-speed capping and labeling and filling really fast where it goes through a slip ring, the communication and power. Then we came out with the ISH, and now we're selling the ILM product that does the same thing. But we came out with robotic function blocks and capabilities back in 2005, 2006. But we couldn't sell a robot then because the patent was still in place.
Oh, okay.
When the patent expired, then we developed our own mechanics for it. And we released our first Delta robot in 2008. So that was our P4 and completely washed down stainless steel. And now we're offering it with still stainless steel upper and lower arms, but the top's uncovered for non-washed down applications.
All right. And what kind of applications would those be? And can you give us an example or two?
Oh gosh. The food and bev side, we're
Yeah.
doing some portioning with water jet, if you can
Okay.
imagine fish or chicken in there. And we're doing
Interesting.
a burger patty stacking application in, in another application with our stainless steel robots. We're doing assembly projects using our MC12, which is our servo track. And you can see a picture of behind me here. With 13 of our Delta robots to build our own circuit breakers in Lincoln, Nebraska. So
Wow.
yeah, so we're finding all sorts of applications for our Delta robots.
Since now we're talking about applications, is there a particular success story that comes to mind when you think about implementing these types of Schneider Electric solutions into food and beverage manufacturing and packaging applications?
Yeah, one of my good customers is EMA Delta Systems, and they're up in Northwest Arkansas and
Hmm.
Walmart up there. And they went from their own proprietary control system to the pack drive offer. And that was done around 2014, 2015. About 2018, they started using our robotics, and they've been integrating in them and more collating applications. And they've been very successful, and they are integrating 2 robots or quoting projects with 3 and 5 robots on them. But it's all capable with our flexible control architecture. Before that, they were selling machines. They started out with 6 axes, and eventually they grew up to 22 axes. They were using a lot of VFD and asynchronous motors. In doing so, they found if they switched those to servos, they could save nearly 30% of electricity usage going to servo motors and permanent magnet motors.
That's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference. And a lot of our the warehouses and DCs using that, they want to save 30% of electricity.
Yeah.
Well, consider moving to permanent magnet motors, and they don't always have to be a servo. We have some without encoders that can work with our VFD products. So we have some innovative solutions and products that are beyond the packaging and food and bev space.
What do you think? I mean, I know that you have you serve a lot of customers in this industry, so your fingers really on the pulse. So what do you think is next in terms of food and beverage manufacturing and packaging trends and technologies? Like, is there anything you have your eye on or anything that maybe Schneider Electric's already working on that you could tease for us?
Well, probably the MC12 behind me is going to be released officially next year, where we'll get that in more people's hands. That's going to enable people to do all sorts of things from assembly to packaging, be more efficient, more flexible. Changeover is a big deal in packaging, and especially the small contract packaging houses. They run a bunch of different material and projects and products. Um, Being more flexible, being able to change over faster, and artificial intelligence is going to be telling us, when to change things. Efficiencies on lines are going to be improving, and to reshore businesses, more automation, and keep people safer. More automation is needed, and I can see this business growing more and more in the near future.
So, is there anything else that you would like the OEMs and system integrators listening to know about food and beverage manufacturing and packaging trends and technologies, or anything else you would like them to know about Schneider Electric?
Well, Schneider Electric isn't just Square D anymore. We have a lot of solutions, a lot of capabilities, a lot of people that want to support that and see how we can help. And we can start out small. But if you have an application, need some help, or just a listening ear, or somebody to give you some advice, I'd be happy to do so. But I have counterparts in the material handling side, material working side, that are all as passionate as I am about what our solutions are and capabilities. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today and for sharing your expertise with our listeners. And for our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Allied's Expert Advice Podcast. For more information about Schneider Electric, please visit www.se.com/US/EN for our complete collection of expert advice content, including more episodes of the Allied Expert Advice Podcast. Please visit www.alliedelect.com/expert. That's www.alliedelec.com/expert. Thanks.